What if the story of human progress you thought you knew was, well, maybe not the whole story, maybe even a brilliant, sometimes brutal fiction?
That's a powerful hook.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Today we're taking a deep dive into Yuval Noah Harari's huge book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind.
Monumental is the word, I think.
Definitely. This isn't just, dates and kings. It's a massive look at us, Homo sapiens, covering over 100,000 years from our humble start to basically running the planet now, or thinking we do.
Yeah, and what's really striking is how Harari pulls it off. He takes this enormous time scale, right, and makes it feel almost like a conversation. It's incredibly readable. He blends biology, anthropology, economics.
All in there.
All in there, and makes it accessible, which is why, everyone from Bill Gates to Obama seem to be talking about it.
Absolutely. So our mission today isn't just to summarize Sapiens. We want to really unpack the core ideas.
The big takeaways. Exactly. Explore those really provocative claims he makes and maybe grapple with some of the tough questions it raises about, well, us, our past, our present, and where we might be headed.
Get ready for some potential aha moments, I'd say, or maybe some oh wow moments.
For sure. Okay, so Harari frames this whole epic journey around 4 key revolutions. He argues each one fundamentally changed not just how we lived, but who we are.
Like 4 acts in the human drama.
Yeah, something like that. Act 1, the curtain raiser, is the cognitive revolution. He puts this around 70,000 years ago.
Right.
And this wasn't just learning a few new tricks. He argues it was a massive leap in how we think language, imagination, abstract thought.
Yeah, and the key thing here around that 70,000 year mark isn't just better communication. It's the unique ability Sapiens developed to talk about things that aren't actually there.
Things that don't exist physically.
Precisely. Fictions. Shared myths, he calls them.
Yeah.
So you're not just saying, look, a lion. You're creating stories about a guardian spirit lion or planning a really complex hunt days in advance with roles and strategies.
Exactly. All based on these shared imagined ideas. And that ability, Harari argues, allowed for cooperation between strangers on a scale no other animal could manage. Large groups, flexible cooperation.
So it wasn't just about having sharper spears, it was about telling better stories. That's quite a perspective.
It really is.
And this large-scale cooperation built on these shared fictions, that's what gave us the edge over, say, Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Allowed us to spread out.
That's the core argument. Our advantage wasn't purely physical strength or even just individual brain power. It was this collective cognitive ability, this social superpower, almost. We could organize and adapt much faster through belief.
Okay. Now, this leads into one of Harari's most talked about, maybe most controversial points.
Ah, yes.
The next big shift. The agricultural revolution, starting around 10,000 years ago, he straight up calls it history's biggest fraud.
He doesn't pull punches, does he?
No. And that lands hard because we're taught farming was this giant leap forward. Civilization, progress. So fraud was behind that.
Well, it's a powerful metaphor, right? His point is, while yes, farming allowed for way more people to exist and led to villages, towns, cities.
Permanent settlements.
Right. But for the average individual human living through that transition, their life likely got harder, not easier.
Harder? How so?
Think about it. Instead of foraging for varied foods, you're suddenly spending long, back-breaking hours planting, weeding, harvesting just a few staple crops.
Like wheat or rice.
Exactly. So your diet becomes much less diverse, potentially less nutritious. You see increases in things like tooth decay, vitamin deficiencies. Plus, living close together with animals meant more diseases jumping across.
So the overall food supply increased, but the quality of life for many people actually went down.
Sounds counterintuitive.
It is. And he argues it was kind of a trap. Once communities settled and grew larger based on farming, it was almost impossible to go back to foraging.
You were locked in, pretty much. And that surplus food, it didn't benefit everyone equally. It mainly fed a growing elite, priests, rulers, administrators. This is where you really see the rise of social hierarchies, inequality, private property.
Patriarchy, slavery.
All these things that became deeply embedded in agricultural societies. It fundamentally rewired human social structures in ways we're frankly still dealing with.
Wow. So it's a really critical look at progress, not just a simple upward line. It was a trade-off. Maybe more people, but maybe not happier people on average.
That's the core tension he explores. The collective success of the species versus the well-being of the individual.
Okay, this shift towards larger, more complex societies built on agriculture, that brings us to Harari's next big theme, the unification of humankind.
Right, which isn't like a single event, but this long, messy process.
Yeah, over millennia. Forming bigger groups, tribes becoming kingdoms, kingdoms becoming empires, people starting to see themselves as part of something much larger than their immediate family or village.
And again, Harari circles back to how this happened. It wasn't just conquest, though there was plenty of that.
Uh-huh.
The real engine, he argues, were those shared fictions again, those imagined orders that people collectively believe in.
Things that don't physically exist but hold societies together.
Exactly. Think about concepts like money, religion, law, nations. These are abstract ideas, right? They
Yeah.
exist purely in our shared imagination.
And he uses that fantastic monkey analogy.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, you could never convince a monkey to give you a banana by promising him unlimited bananas after death in monkey heaven.
Huh. Yes, it just perfectly captures it, doesn't it? Our unique ability to believe in these intangible promises, these abstract concepts.
Well, there's the value we place on a piece of paper money,
Or the idea of France, or Apple Inc.
or the divine right of kings,
Yeah.
or human rights for that matter. These are the stories we tell ourselves that allow millions, even billions of strangers to cooperate.
It's the invisible framework. Money is maybe the ultimate example. It works only because virtually everyone believes it works. It connects people globally who share no other beliefs. Same with legal systems, corporations. These are incredibly powerful fictions.
The glue, as you said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
which then sets the stage for Harari's final act, the Fourth Revolution,
Oh,
the scientific revolution, kicking off roughly 500 years ago.
right. And this is another fundamental shift in mindset.
How so?
Before this, knowledge was often seen as coming from ancient text, tradition, or divine revelation. The scientific revolution brought this embrace of ignorance, oddly enough.
Ignorance.
Yeah, the willingness to say, we don't know. And from that starting point, to use empirical observation, experimentation, mathematics to figure things out.
Okay.
Seek new knowledge rather than just preserve old knowledge.
And critically, this wasn't just happening in universities. It got tangled up with other forces.
Absolutely crucial point. Harari emphasizes the powerful alliance that formed between science, European empires, and capitalism.
The three feeding each other.
Precisely. Scientific discoveries like better navigation techniques from astronomy or new medicines from botany directly enabled European exploration, conquest, and colonization.
And the empires and burgeoning capitalists funded more scientific research because it promised power and profit, new resources, new markets.
It created this incredibly potent feedback loop. Science provided the tools and understanding. Empire and capitalism provided the funding and motivation, often ruthless motivation.
And this alliance is what really turbocharged everything, industrialization, globalization.
It led to unimaginable technological power, humanity gaining unprecedented control over nature. But Harari is very clear about the dark side.
The brutal consequences.
Exactly. Massive environmental destruction, the horrors of the slave trade fueled by plantation economies, the exploitation inherent in colonialism. It fundamentally changed humanity's relationship with the planet from being part of nature to attempting to be its master.
Okay, so we've walked through the four revolutions: cognitive, agricultural, unification, scientific. Now let's step back and look at some of the deeper themes running through Sapiens that are still incredibly relevant today.
Yeah, because it's not just a history lesson. It's really asking, what does this all mean?
Right. And that idea of shared fictions ruling the world keeps coming back. It's not just historical, it's happening right now.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Our entire global economy runs on shared fictions about the value of currencies, the existence of corporations as legal persons, international law,
Human rights.
human rights. A profoundly important fiction we collectively strive to uphold. These concepts aren't written in our DNA. They exist because we as a society agree they exist and have power. They allow for incredible coordination. Think of a multinational corporation. It's just a legal idea, a story we all buy into, yet it shapes millions of lives.
It's kind of mind-bending when you frame it that way. We live inside these imagined realities. Which leads to a pretty big question he raises. Well, what does it mean that our most powerful social structures, governments, economies, legal systems, are built on things we just collectively agree to believe in, not on objective reality?
It points to both our amazing flexibility as a species and maybe a certain fragility.
Also,
Because if belief wavers, if enough people stop buying into the story, whether it's the value of a dollar or the legitimacy of a government, those powerful structures can actually crumble pretty fast.
like a run on the banks or a revolution.
Exactly. Societies are constantly working to maintain and reinforce these fictions. We're all participating in upholding them, often without even thinking about it.
Okay, another huge theme, circling back to the agricultural revolution, but much broader. Progress isn't necessarily good for everyone. Or maybe progress doesn't automatically equal happiness.
Yeah, he consistently challenges that assumption. We tend to think technology equals better life, more GDP equals more well-being.
Right, that's the standard narrative.
But Harari pushes back. He asks us to seriously compare, say, the daily life of an ancient forager who might have worked fewer hours, had a more varied diet, maybe stronger community bonds, with a modern office worker or factory worker.
Facing high stress, maybe repetitive work, long commutes.
Precisely. Is the modern person objectively happier? It's not a simple yes. He points to things like rising rates of anxiety, depression, loneliness in wealthy, technologically advanced societies.
Widespread antidepressant use, burnout.
Yeah. Are these signs of genuine progress in human well-being? Or do they suggest a kind of mismatch between our evolved psychology and the hyper-complex, high-pressure, fiction-based societies we've built?
It forces you to really question what we mean by a good life, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Beyond just material wealth or technological power.
It absolutely does.
And that connects back to the third big theme we touched on, the enduring alliance of capitalism and science. That feedback loop is still very much the engine of our world.
Oh, completely. It's arguably stronger than ever.
Yeah.
Science pushes the boundaries of knowledge, discovers new possibilities.
And capitalism immediately looks for ways to turn that knowledge into new products, new services, new markets, profit, growth.
It's a relentless drive. It's given us incredible things, medical breakthroughs, instant global communication, unbelievable computing power.
Sure.
But it also carries this inherent demand for constant expansion, more resource extraction, more consumption, more economic growth. It's the dynamic that has allowed us to reshape the entire planet, for better and for worse. And it keeps pushing us forward, sometimes without a clear map of the consequences.
So despite all these challenging, sometimes uncomfortable ideas, Sapiens clearly struck a massive chord. What are its biggest strengths, would you say? Why did it resonate so much?
Well, first off, the sheer scope combined with clarity is remarkable.
Taking 100,000 years and making it make sense.
Yeah, weaving it into a single compelling story is a huge achievement. But more than that, it's incredibly thought-provoking. It doesn't just recite history, it forces you to question your basic assumptions about everything.
Progress, happiness, religion, money.
Exactly, and the multidisciplinary approach is key. He's pulling insights from so many different fields: history, biology, anthropology, economics, philosophy, and synthesizing them. That creates a really rich, layered understanding you don't often get.
Definitely. But like any book that paints with such a broad brush, it's not without its critics, right? It's important to touch on those too.
Absolutely essential. Balance is key. While Sapiens is powerful, some academics point out that covering so much ground inevitably involves simplification.
Glossing over nuances.
Potentially, yes. Critics might say he sometimes presents specific interpretations, especially about prehistoric life, where evidence is thin, maybe more definitively than the evidence warrants. Speculation creeps in.
Okay.
There's also been discussion about whether the narrative has a subtle Eurocentric bias, kind of centering the story around developments that led to Western dominance, or a modernist bias, perhaps framing history as inevitably leading towards our current state.
So treating theories as facts sometimes, maybe oversimplifying potential biases.
Those are some of the main lines of scholarly critique, which doesn't necessarily invalidate the book's impact or its value in sparking debate, but it's important context for readers. It's one interpretation, a very compelling one, but not the only one.
Right. It's a starting point for thinking, not the final word.
Yeah.
So wrapping up our deep dive here,
Yeah.
what we've really unpacked is a book that's, well, mind-expanding seems like the right term.
Definitely. Iconoclastic, even.
Yeah. It takes this vast sweep of human history and distills it into something incredibly engaging, but also deeply provocative. It sticks with you.
It really does. Because Sapiens isn't just history, it's a meditation on what it even means to be human. It makes you question the stories we tell ourselves, the path we've taken, and the forces, those fictions, those alliances that are still shaping us right now. It's about understanding the past to maybe navigate the future a bit more wisely.
So here's the final thought for you who are listening right now.
Yeah.
If Harari is right, and our greatest superpower is creating and believing in shared fictions, what fictions are you actively participating in?
Right now, today.
Yeah. The idea of your nation, the value of your money, the mission of your company, your ethical codes. These stories shape your world profoundly. So the question becomes, what responsibility do we have collectively for the next big story we decide to believe in? The one that will shape the future of Sapiens.
That's a heavy but crucial question. And if you want to explore where Harari thinks things might go next, his follow-up book, Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, tackles that directly, looks at the future, technology, maybe even the end of Sapiens as we know it.
And for a really interesting counterpoint, challenging some of Harari's core ideas about early human societies.
Highly recommend The Dawn of Everything, A New History of Humanity by David Graeber and David Wengrow. It offers a very different but equally fascinating perspective.
Lots to think about. Thanks for diving in with us today.